Welcome back to Josh Does Life. It is a cold day, cold Saturday, November the 9th in Anderson, South Carolina. Today, I really just wanted to do a quick discussion, talk a little bit of history. You know, this discussion's more toward fishing, but for anybody interested, everybody has their own opinions when it comes to types of rod and reels that they use and brands and everything else. Well, I just want to talk about, my past. So I'm 38 years old. I started fishing when I was a kid. My dad would take me fishing. We always used old Zebco reels. I did anyway. My dad had spin reels. But I started out with the push button Zebcos. After I got a little bit older, I finally graduated to spin cast or open face, whichever one you like to call it. I've heard both. I graduated to those maybe as a teenager. I started using those a lot in high school. At the time, I did try years ago, now this was probably back in 1996, I tried a baitcaster, and I went and picked one up, saved up some money. I was cutting grass at the time around the neighborhood to make some money. Most of my fishing gear and things I wanted for hobbies I had to pay for myself, so I had to work to get them. But I saved up some money and I went and bought a casting reel. I think it might have been like a complete setup. I'm not sure. I don't really remember back in the day. I remember it was like a greenish color. I'm pretty sure it was a Shimano even back then. But I got discouraged very quickly. Now, we didn't have YouTube at the time, and I didn't have anybody else to ask for help. My dad, he fished his whole life, but he's always been in favor of a spinning rod and reel. So he's primarily stuck with that. Now, these days, he's, used some casting rods, but I don't remember him having any when I was younger. So I didn't really get any guidance or any help from anybody else. It's like me and a couple of my friends, we went to the store and picked some out and figured we'd give them a try. We used to watch all the TV shows, when we were in high school. We would watch Bill Dance and Roland Martin, the helicopter lure and all that type stuff at the time. But the first baitcaster that I tried, I didn't know about like adjusting the drag and not adjusting the drag, but adjusting the tensioning knob on it. I didn't know about making adjustments to it. So basically every time I would cast it, I'd get bird's nested really bad. So I got kind of discouraged, and it was every few casts I was bird nesting. I never did really get anywhere with it, so I got discouraged and I gave it up. So I went back to open face or spin reels and rods, and I used those for a number of years. Probably, I slowed down at fishing at one point, but I think when I was about, from high school to, the college years and things, I started back fishing again every now and then when I was about 25. Well then, I kept using the same type of gear. I mainly got into catfishing, so that's what I started doing a lot. Well, when I hit my 30s, then, some friends and myself, we decided to go on kind of little chartered fishing trips. So we went on some of those, and I've been on several by myself, or, my brother or anything, somebody like that. And we would do chartered trips for catfish. I've been on one chartered bass fishing trip, and then I've done several chartered saltwater trips offshore. Well, when I started doing the charter trips, even catfishing, it was casting reels. Most of them, it seemed like the most popular one was the Abu Garcia, the 3000s. It seemed very popular. That was on most of the boats that would go out on. So I kind of had to, now when I was, and just getting off subject, when I was offshore, there wasn't much to it. You just barely throw it out. You're really just letting it sink and hit to the bottom, because mainly on the chartered offshore fishing trips I've done, we mainly went for like black sea bass and stuff like that. So it was really just, dropping it down and waiting until you get a bite. But the catfishing, is kind of similar. You don't need to cast out any long distance. We'd get in spots where we would find them on the fish finders, or the charter captain would, and he'd put them on us. or us on them. Sorry, us on them, and we would just drop off to the side, and we would catfish that way. Well, then I guess by the time 33 or something like that, started wanting to pick back up fishing again, like a little bit more frequently. So I started looking into gear again, and then I started getting some bait casters, and then I watched YouTube videos and kind of figured the ins and outs about them and read more information. So as I got back into it, I started buying some and started fishing more and more with them. Well, now I've gotten to a point where I think I have 7 or 8 casting reels and rod setups and only 2 spinning. And the spinning, I mean, sometimes I might use them for like finesse a little bit. I have a lighter line on this. I try, one of them's got a wacky rig on it. Sometimes I just try stuff like that, but most of the time I just stick with casting reels now. They've just become, once you get that comfort level with them, and hardly ever backlash them and all, when you get used to them, it just kind of, to me, becomes your go-to, and it's just what I prefer. So I mean, I'm kind of just doing this video so you understand kind of a little bit of my background and my thoughts on these things. But everybody has their own preference, and it's like I say in all my videos, there's hundreds of fishing videos, channels on YouTube. A lot of them are sponsored and are paid to use certain equipment, and they try to push that equipment. I'm not paid or sponsored. I use what I do because it's what I've grown to like, and I've had no issues with it. Shimano has been around for a long time, and I'm just a really big fan of their reels. I've never had one give me any issues. So in my life and my time fishing, that's just what I've liked and what I've stuck with. So that's primarily what I have. Now when it comes to rods, I'm not dedicated to Shimano rods, and I'm trying to try some new ones now. I've actually recently picked up another St. Croix, and I'll do another video kind of talking about that stuff coming up, and go over the changes I've made on my setup that, even though we're going into winter, and everybody that watches my channel, I don't really do much winter fishing. That cold weather and cold water stuff really isn't as much for me. I know a lot of the diehards get out there and fish year round. I doubt you'll see me doing it, but as soon as spring hits, then I'll be putting out a lot more fishing videos, and we'll talk more about tackling, things like that I'm using. And hopefully, everybody knows now that I've bought the fishing kayak, so you'll see some video of me starting off in that. Like I said in the video, I've never been on a kayak before, so we'll see how that goes, and we'll try fishing from it, see how I like it. I don't know that I'll like it or love it. I'm hoping that I do. Then I also have my dad's boat V-hull that I'll be using to fish some. So when I want to fish more area in the lake, then I'll definitely use that. Or if I just want to fish some local coves, then I'll use the kayak. And then future plan is, to get in my own bass boat, but we'll see what happens there. That's just really when I can get financially able, or in a position I can get that. But anyway, fishing stuff, it's just what you want to buy, how much you want to spend. I actually went out to Sportsman's Warehouse today, and I was just looking at the different types of rods they have and all the different brands. There's tons of rod manufacturers, and even I saw Shimano rods that were 25 bucks. I mean, they have really cheap stuff. Now, I haven't fished with the really cheap stuff since I was like a teenager. Working cutting yards and all that, you had to scrounge up money, and I would buy cheaper rods and reels and gear at that time. But now that I've gotten older, and it's where I can afford it, I like to get nicer stuff. Do you have to have it to catch fish? No, not at all. They wouldn't sell the cheap stuff if you couldn't catch any fish off of it. It's just, I prefer the more expensive stuff for the the not just the look, but the feel, and and its reliability and how it holds up. So, you know, go out there. I encourage everybody, you know, to try fishing. When I'm out on the water, you know, you just kind of get in the zone, and that's the happy place, I guess you want to call it. I really do enjoy it, and I encourage other people to try it. You know, just starting out, go pick up a combo. You can get them for 30 bucks, you know, whatever. Just get something and get out there and try it, you know, and see how you like it. And if you really like it or enjoy it, then, you know, as you can afford it, upgrade your gear. But I got way off topic with what I intended on talking about, but you know, it gets back to just what preferences are. So just, you know, if you want a spinning reel or a bait caster, it's just whatever you're comfortable with, then, you know, that's what you need to stick with. Or, you know, if you're comfortable with both. I've gotten to where spinning reel, I don't like to cast them as much anymore. I just don't enjoy them as much fishing with them, so I mainly use casting reels. I just like them better now. I'm just comfortable with them, and think I can, you know, as far as putting the lure where I want, you know, it just comes easier with a casting reel to me. But anyway, that's just some of my thoughts, you know, one of these videos that I just wanted to put for today. Anybody that's following my channel, I appreciate anybody, all my subscribers now, and if you would, please subscribe and like my videos so I can try to grow the channel. I'm trying to do 2 videos a week if I can. We're going to try to keep going with, you know, one video a week talking about fishing stuff or actually fishing, and then the second video is going to be discussion, usually like review type things on equipment and things I have around the house, and as well as showing some projects and that I've got going on, and ways that I do things. So please subscribe and like the videos, and thank you very much for watching, and I hope you got something out of it.